Evil Santa Christmas Horror Stories. The package arrived on December 20th, wrapped in crimson paper that looked wet in the porch light, though when Emily touched it, the surface was completely dry. No return address. Just a name written in spidery handwriting that seemed to crawl across the label. Emily Morrison. Do not open until Christmas. Another one from your secret admirer. Her roommate Jessica called from the kitchen. Emily carried the box inside, frowning. It was heavy, about the size of a showbox, and when she shook it gently, something shifted inside with a sound like when chimes made a bone. There's no secret admirer, Emily said, setting it under their small Christmas tree. Probably from my aunt in Wisconsin. She always sends weird gifts. But Emily's aunt hadn't sent it. Nobody had, at least nobody living. That night, Emily woke to the sound of bells. Not cheerful jingle bells, but deep, resonant tolling that seemed to vibrate through the walls of her apartment. She checked her phone, 3:23 a.m. Jessica's door remained closed, no light underneath. The bells stopped. In the silence that followed, Emily heard something else, a low, rumbling sound like distant laughter coming from the living room. She grabbed the baseball bat she kept by her bed and crept down the hallway. The Christmas tree lights were on, though she distinctly remembered unplugging them before bed. They cast red and green shadows across the room, making everything look like it was underwater. The package under the tree was moving. Not much, just a slight tremor, as if something inside was breathing. Emily's grip tightened on the bat. She should call the police. It could be a bomb or some kind of sick prank. Or the box went still. Emily stood frozen for 5 full minutes, watching, waiting. Nothing. Finally, she unplugged the tree lights and went back to bed, though sleep didn't come until dawn. The next day, Jessica left to spend Christmas with her family in Portland. You sure you don't want to come? She asked, already halfway out the door. Your mom won't mind you missing one Christmas. Right. Emily had told her mother she'd visit for New Year's instead. The hospital where she worked as a nurse always needed extra staff during the holidays, and the overtime pay was too good to pass up. I'll be fine, Emily said. It's just a few days. After Jessica left, the apartment felt different. Larger, emptier. The shadows in the corners seemed darker, and the package under the tree seemed to pulse with a presence Emily couldn't explain. On December 22nd, Emily came home from a 12-hour shift to find the apartment freezing. The thermostat read 68 degrees, but her breath came out in white clouds. Frost had formed on the inside of the windows, creating intricate patterns that looked almost like faces screaming. The package had moved. She was certain of it. She'd left it on the left side of the tree, partially hidden behind a wrapped gift for Jessica. Now it sat front and center, the red paper seeming to glow in the dimness. Emily picked it up with shaking hands. The label had changed. Where it once read, "Do not open until Christmas," it now said, 3 more days, Emily. Have you been naughty or nice? She dropped the box like it had burned her. It hit the floor with that same bone chime sound, and for just a moment, Emily heard laughter, deep and jolly and wrong, like Santa Claus if Santa Claus had gone completely insane. This is insane, Emily whispered to herself. I'm just tired. Working too much. Stressed about the holidays. But she picked up the box and put it in the kitchen trash anyway, covering it with coffee grounds in yesterday's takeout containers. Then she turned the thermostat up to 75 and tried to convince herself everything was fine. At 3:23 a.m., the bells woke her again. And this time, there were footsteps. Heavy boots on the roof, moving from one end of the apartment building to the other. Emily lived on the 4th floor. There shouldn't be anything on the roof except ventilation units and satellite dishes. The footsteps stopped directly above her bedroom. Then they started descending. Not down the fire escape or the stairs, down the wall. Emily heard them clearly. Thump, thump, thump. Each step accompanied by a scraping sound, like claws on brick. She couldn't move. Terror had frozen her more solid than the frost on her windows. The footsteps reached her window, and Emily watched in horror as the frost began to melt, running down the glass like tears. In the water, words appeared. Naughty children don't get presents. They get visits. Something pressed against the window from outside, a face, but wrong. It had Santa's features twisted into something monstrous, eyes too large and entirely black, a beard matted with what looked like dried blood, a smile full of too many teeth. The face pushed against the glass, flattening, spreading, trying to squeeze through the window frame itself. Emily screamed and dug under her covers like a child, and she hated herself for it even as she did it. She was 26 years old, a trauma nurse who'd seen actual horrors in the ER, and here she was hiding under her blankets from something that couldn't possibly be real. The pressure on the window stopped. The footsteps retreated, going back up the wall, back to the roof, then fading entirely. Emily didn't sleep the rest of the night. When morning came, she found the package sitting on her kitchen counter, back out of the trash. The label now read, 2 more days. I know what you did. Emily's hands trembled as she grabbed the phone. She called her mother, but couldn't bring herself to explain what was happening. Just wanted to say I love you, Mom. Are you okay, honey? You sound strange. I'm fine. Just tired. After she hung up, Emily stared at the package. I know what you did. What did that mean? She'd never done anything truly terrible in her life. Sure, she'd made mistakes. Who hadn't? But nothing that would deserve this. Then she remembered. Last Christmas. The party at the hospital. Dr. Raymond, the head of surgery, drunk and handsy, cornering her in the supply closet. Emily had pushed him away, hard, and he'd fallen, striking his head on a metal shelf. He'd been fine, brushed it off, told her to forget about it. But 2 weeks later, Dr. Raymond died. Aneurysm, they said, sudden and unexpected. Emily had never told anyone about the supply closet incident. What if she'd caused it? What if that push had triggered something in his brain? No, Emily said aloud. That's crazy. The autopsy showed natural causes. I didn't. I couldn't have. The package rattled violently, like something inside was trying to claw its way out. Emily ran. She grabbed her keys and her purse and fled the apartment, not stopping until she was in her car, engine running, heat blasting. She drove to a coffee shop and spent the next 6 hours there, nursing drinks she barely tasted, jumping at every sound. But when the coffee shop closed at 9 p.m. on December 23rd, Emily had nowhere else to go. Hotels were booked solid. Jessica was in Portland. Her mother lived 8 hours away. She couldn't explain this to anyone without sounding insane. She went home. The apartment was dark except for the Christmas tree lights, which were on again despite being unplugged. The package sat in the center of the living room floor, and the label had changed one final time. Tomorrow is Christmas, Emily. Time to open your gift. You've been so naughty. Emily didn't sleep that night. She sat on her couch with all the lights on, the baseball bat across her lap, watching the package. At 3:23 a.m., the bells began again, and this time they were inside the apartment, deafening, shaking the walls. The package began to unwrap itself. The red paper peeled away in strips, revealing a black box underneath. The lid opened slowly, and from inside came a smell like pine needles and rotting meat. Something was climbing out, a hand, pale and bloated, with fingernails like claws. You let him die, a voice said, and it was Santa's voice, but corrupted, echoing. You pushed him and walked away. Naughty, naughty Emily. It was an accident. Emily screamed. I didn't mean to hurt him. He was attacking me. Doesn't matter, the voice crooned. Naughty children get coal. Very naughty children get something special. The thing that emerged from the box was wearing a Santa suit, but the suit was rotting, hanging off a frame that was too thin and too tall. Its face was the one from her window, blackened eyes, too many teeth, beard caked with gore. It held a sack over one shoulder, and the sack was moving, squirming with shape that might have been toys or might have been something far worse. I have a present for you, it said, reaching into the sack. Emily swung the bat with everything she had. It connected with the thing's skull with a sound like breaking ice. The creature staggered, then looked at her with something that might have been surprise. Then it smiled. Good, it said. Fight back. That's what I wanted to see. That's what he wanted to, for you to fight. But you ran away. You let guilt eat you alive instead of accepting that sometimes bad things happen to bad people. The creature began to dissolve, melting like snow, leaving nothing but the smell of pine and a small card on the floor. Emily picked it up with shaking hands. It read, Dr. Raymond was going to be arrested for assault, 5 other nurses came forward after his death. You didn't kill him. His guilt did. Merry Christmas. Emily, learn to forgive yourself. The sun rose on December 24th to find Emily Morrison sitting on her couch, surrounded by the shredded remains of red wrapping paper, crying tears of relief and residual terror. The package was gone. The creature was gone. But the lesson remained. That Christmas, Emily finally told her mother what had happened with Dr. Raymond. She started seeing a therapist in January, and she never, ever accepted another package without a return address. But sometimes, late at night when the temperature drops and frost forms on her windows, Emily thinks she can hear sleigh bells in the distance. And she wonders if evil Santa visits everyone who needs to confront their deepest guilt, or if she was just unlucky enough to deserve a Christmas miracle wrapped in horror. The apartment building's other residents reported strange occurrences at holiday season 2, packages that shouldn't have been there, bells at 3:23 a.m., footsteps on the roof. But Emily was the only one who opened her gift, the only one who faced what was inside. Sometimes the scariest monsters are the ones we create ourselves, and sometimes Santa Claus knows exactly what we need, even if we never, ever wanted it.